of Japan's outreach to Africa under the auspices of TCAT.
The other area of, that he raised was with regards to the United Nations reform. Japan is keen to be a permanent member of the Security Council of the United Nations. And so we're looking to coordinate our efforts because a lot of people believe, a lot of countries believe that Nigeria should also have a permanent seat. So they were pointing out that they would be quite happy to support our bid.
From Washington, D.C., Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Now, remaining in Washington, the 2016 Nuclear Security Summit has ended in Washington, D.C., with the participating world leaders declaring that measures towards strengthening nuclear security will not hamper the rights of countries willing to develop and use nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. This declaration, which was contained in a communique issued at the summit hosted by President Barack Obama, is an affirmation of Nigeria's stance. Here again is Adamu Sambu.
He's doing a good job.
President Muhammadu Buhari was specifically at the 4th Nuclear Summit to engage the world leaders on the need to respect the right of Nigeria and other countries to harness nuclear energy and technology for socio-economic development. It is now clear that Nigeria's stance, as articulated by the president, may have been well taken by the world leaders who resolved to maintain a balance between efforts to ensure greater nuclear security and the rights of states to use nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. The leaders, however, said the states must maintain at all times effective security of all nuclear and other radioactive materials under their control. President Barack Obama, in a closing remarks, tasked the world powers to make nuclear security an enduring priority of their respective countries, saying actions taken today can prevent tomorrow's nuclear security incidents.
No terrorist group has yet succeeded in getting their hands on a nuclear device. Our work here will help ensure that we're doing everything possible to prevent that.
Some members of the Nigerian delegation give their impression of the nation's outing.
Nigeria will be leaving this summit with the assurance that the rest of the world sees the positive side of nuclear energy.
And we've also been able to let people see that as a country we're also poised to taking advantage of nuclear energy to develop our energy needs.
We in Nigeria are really doing what we need to do to secure our nuclear facilities and ensuring that these materials don't fall into the wrong hands.
The 2016 Washington meeting of the world leaders marks the end of the Nuclear Security Summit process, which started in 2010. From Washington, D.C., Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Thank you indeed, Adamu. Now back home, despite the increasing queues in petrol stations, the price of the product remains 86 naira per litre at NNPC mega outlets and 86 naira 50 kobo in private stations in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Mayor Ogidi reports that the petrol stations are also receiving more supply.
The waiting game in the petrol stations still continue despite the perceived increase in supply, with more pressure on management and staff of the stations, as some of them now operate 24 hours to meet the needs of their customers.
Even the people in the filling station are overwhelmed. People slept here, I slept here, I had to buy fuel. You can imagine when I'm living here, and so it is pathetic.
Exactly, we are having adequate supply of product. We do get maybe 8 to 10 trucks every day.
Yeah, that's fine. We're getting adequate supply coming through, so it's not a problem at all.
In the midst of all this, there are fears among buyers that the price of the product may increase, but some operators told me that they still maintain the official price.
No, I'm not aware that there is no any information from NPC that there is increase in the price. 86 naira per litre.
86 naira per litre in this place.
86 naira 50 kobo. The dispensing unit is quite okay.
Some of the dealers are very optimistic that the current scarcity of the product will soon be over if they experience the same level of supply from the depot. In Abuja, Mayor Ogidi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, has received advised marketers not to distort the prevailing 86 naira retail price of petrol for NNPC stations and 86 naira 50 kobo for others, as these rates remain unchanged for this second quarter of 2016. The price of household kerosene also remains unchanged. A statement by the PPPRA Acting Executive Secretary, Santonia Iyoyo, states that contrary to speculations, prevailing market indicators do not support any increase for now, despite the newly by law adopted price modulation prices. The second quarter allocation for products has also been released, with the NNPC getting 41.73%, while other marketing companies are to supply the remaining 58.27%. Depot owners, the statement added, are to adhere strictly to the existing truck-out policy of the PPPRA to ensure products are delivered to designated retail outlets on time to avoid panic buying by consumers. Now, still on petrol, some filling stations have been sealed in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, by the officials of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, for various sharp practices. Oyeyinka Fularomi completes the report.
Long queues were noticed at most filling stations in Oyo State, as many of the stations still claim non-availability of fuel. This is in spite of the fact that loading of the premium motor spirit, popularly called Petrol, has resumed fully at the Akpata depot and other depots in neighboring states.
We don't have enough supply from the depot. We are actioning.
Men of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, who were spotted at some filling stations, said it was disheartening to see some filling stations still selling above the official pump price of 86 naira 50 kobo. Among the erring filling stations is this independent marketer who sold at 180 naira per litre. The station was therefore sealed by the officials of DPR.
Some people are buying and selling at 200 naira. So we have to ensure that this does not continue.
Some stations that sell at the regulated price witnessed long queues of vehicles and motorcycles resorting to disorderliness.
I have a baby at home, 40 days baby. I've been here since 5 a.m.
Transport fares are, however, still high in the metropolis. In Ibadan, Oyeyinka Folaranmi, NTA News.
The Acting General Officer commanding 7th Division of the Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Victor Ezugu, has commended the efforts of troops of 3 battalions in clearing remains of Boko Haram terrorists. He gave the commendation during a visit to Kala Bage, one of the towns recaptured by the troops. Correspondent Maimuna Garba reports.
Officers and soldiers of 3 battalion Gamborungala led to the capture of Alagarno and surrounding areas within a couple of days after their deployment into Operation Lafia Doli. He assured that logistics and operational support will be adequately provided from the division. The commanding officer 3 battalion had earlier briefed the GOC on achievements in the general mission area. General Ezegu was also at headquarters of 22 Brigade Dikwa, where the commander, Brigadier General Benjamin Sawyer, briefed the GOC on operations in the general area. While at 21 Brigade Bama, the GOC was taken on tour of front lines by the acting commander, Colonel Adamulaka, covering areas of Gurosoye, Banki Junction, and Kondiga. He also visited Alau Dam to inspect newly acquired gunboats, which he explained are to be used to ensure safety of inhabitants of the entire area of the dam. At all the places visited, General Ezogu appreciated the sacrifice by troops, urging them to sustain the tempo of the operations, while the locals praised President Muhammadu Buhari, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, and the multinational Joint Task Force for clearing their communities of terrorists. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Nasarawa State Government is to complete all abandoned road projects in Karo, near Abuja. Governor Umar Tanko Almakora says this while inspecting some of the abandoned road projects in the area. Joshua Ujito reports.
Some of the road projects that were abandoned include the Maraba-Kabayi-Pandagitata Road, Orange Market Road linking other rural communities, among others. Governor Umaru Tanko Al-Mukura said, in view of hardship residents and commuters in the area are facing, it has become necessary for government to revoke the contracts due to slow pace of work and in some cases where the projects were abandoned.
And having given the statutory 28 days notice to this contractor who has been working on this bridge for 2 years, I hereby revoked the contract. To fast track the job, we will give him half of the amount to ensure that work starts in earnest. I'm giving him 2 months within which to complete this bridge.
Meanwhile, Governor Al-Mukura, alongside Minister of State for Environment Ibrahim Jibril Usman, were at one of the markets in Maraba, where he announced plans by government to equip all markets in the state with firefighting equipment to prevent outbreak of fire. In Karuluku government area of Nasarawa State, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
The federal government is making efforts to ensure food security through research and innovation. Minister of Science and Technology, Dr. Bonaya Onu, gave the indication when he visited the Raw Materials Research Development Council office in Enugu. Ben Asogwa reports.
Visit offered the minister an opportunity to appraise investment opportunities that abound in the southeast. Dr. Anu said this has become necessary as the nation searches for alternative sources of revenue outside the oil and gas sector.
We are concerned about our inability to feed ourselves. So we want Nigeria to be in a position to feed her citizens. So the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology will be making extensive contributions in the area of food security for the nation.
Enugu State Coordinator of the Raw Materials Research and Development Council, Dr. Chibuzo Abieye, showed the minister the available raw materials in the area.
We're not talking about the raw form. We are talking of value added to them, which will generate more income.
The Director General of the Council, Dr. Hussein Ibrahim, was present on the occasion. In Enugu, Ben Asogwa, NTA News.
Now, an Islamic scholar, Sheikh Mohammed Kabiru Gambo, has attributed the dwindling fortune of Nigeria's economy and security to the inability of Nigerians to fully embrace the teachings of the Holy Scriptures. He said this at a special prayer and preaching session to mark President Muhammadu Buhari's 300 days in office held in Abuja. Correspondent Abdullahi Adamu has that report.
The preaching session focused on the qualities of good citizenship, the Islamic perspective. On the change mantra of the present administration, Sheikh Gombe advised Nigerians, especially the youth, to engage in the process of harnessing the enormous natural resources bestowed on the country. The need to always pray for the country's development, as well as embracing one another for peaceful coexistence, were also highlighted.
What the sermon or the discussion is all about, how someone will become a good citizen, who will love his country.
Whatever achievements we have recorded so far, it's only prayers that can sustain it.
He knows his responsibility to the people of Nigeria who voted him into power to bring the necessary changes that the ordinary man in the street has been yearning for.
The forum rounded off with a prayer for Nigerian leaders to remain focused towards achieving the desired development. In Abuja, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
The Nigerian Muslim Forum, United Kingdom, has held its 2016 annual general meeting and conference with a call on Muslims to obey Islamic injunctions by living peaceful with people of other faiths. As speakers at the conference say this is the best of stride and path to world peace. Correspondent Bilkisu Abdurazak Odoye reports from Manchester.
Quoting from the glorious Quran and speaking against the backdrop of terrorist attacks in some countries of the world, participants stressed on the importance of parents raising their children according to the tenets and sunnah of Prophet Muhammad to avoid radicalization and extremism, which is portraying the religion in bad light.
There is a unanimous agreement
that most of the general problems of insurgency has to do with quality of education. The government of Borno State to show people the scourge and the effort of government and other institutions in trying to address it. We have worked assiduously behind the lines at the beginning of the insurgents and when it was at the middle to make sure that we dampen it.
The conference and annual general meeting of the forum with the theme Socio-Economic Reconstruction of Northeastern Nigeria post-Boko Haram was also a time for stock taking.
One of the objectives is to exchange ideas, to discuss issues that are very relevant to Nigeria's development.
The Nigerian Muslim Forum UK is a charitable organization which, among other activities, provides valuable full guide documents to Muslim students and visitors about the UK, its culture, education system, and how to adapt to life as a student or visitor. From Manchester, United Kingdom, Bilkisu Abdurazak Oduoye, NTA News.
As a brand that is committed to the development of happy and healthier babies, one of Nigeria's diaper brands, Pampers, has continued to design new ways of impacting the lives of mothers and their babies. The brand brought together mothers with a view to celebrating and educating them on the best ways to take care of their babies.
The Pampers Moms Know Best is a campaign platform for mothers to exchange ideas, discuss challenges and share tips that would help in the development of their babies. It is also a forum to learn more about motherhood while medical advice was shared.
This baby needs to sleep for good growth and development. That once the baby has jaundice, it's best to present to the doctor who will carry out a test.
With Pampers, you are sure that your baby has overnight dryness. Your baby sleeps peacefully. One Pampers diaper, you are sure that the baby will have one dry night. And once the baby sleeps well, wakes up peacefully, the baby will wake up happy and continue to grow up happy and healthy. And that's what we want all mothers to know. So we want all mothers out there to go out there and try the new Pampers Baby Dry. It has been improved.
The campaign is championed by celebrity mom and Pampers brand ambassador Tiwa Savage.
It's beyond the brand. They care about the mother, they care about the child. So that shows you how far they go to reach out to mothers. And they also go to areas where mothers who are not as privileged as some others, and they lend a helping hand as well. So it's been fantastic to partner with Pampers.
Demonstration with the new improved Pampers provided an opportunity for mothers to endorse the products.
I had a lot of gifts of diapers, different types. So Pampers Baby Dry was amongst it. And when I used it, honestly, it was different, even more than the foreign products that I received.
I'm not sure I can ever use any other diaper if not Pampers.
The new improved Pampers diaper, organizers say, has been designed to aid the physical and mental development of babies.
All right, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has described the late political and legal icon Dr. Tunji Braithwaite's death as a great loss to the nation. The Vice President said the deceased used his wealth of knowledge to fight for a just and equitable society. Bulere Obara has details of the condolence visit by the Vice President to the Braithwaite's family in Lagos.
The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, while commiserating with the family of the late politician, described him as an honest, upright and dedicated politician who stood for the truth. The Vice President, who urged Nigerians to emulate the good qualities of the late legal icon, prayed God to grant the family the fortitude to bear the loss.
All the great causes he stood for, the Sovereign National Conference, always insisted that there ought to be a dialogue, that this nation ought to be talking to itself, the ethnic groups ought to be talking to themselves. He always stood for, right, justice, and spoke truth to power consistently all through his life. We'll always miss him for all his interventions in the political and social life of Nigeria.
Senator Oluremi Tinubu, representing Lagos Central District, was also at the family house of the late politician.
So we missed one of the great men, who we say one of the most sincere critics
that are not really afraid to speak their mind and to speak for the masses.
Born in 1933, the foremost lawyer, politician, and activist died at the age of 82 in Lagos, Abolore Ogbara, NTA News.
We thank you for staying with us on Weekend File up till this moment. Every year, the Petroleum Technology Development Fund holds aptitude tests to screen and select candidates for its overseas and local scholarship schemes. This is part of its mandate to train Nigerians in various sectors in the oil sector. This morning, another round of the test took place, as we told you earlier, and Weekend File is taking a closer look at the process. Stay with us on Weekend File.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words: run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Join the Airtel family today and get 5 times the value of every recharge. Recharge with *555 *PIN hash on the Airtel network and feel at home. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Our founding fathers worked to establish certain standards of governance. Some of their successors behaved like spoiled children, breaking everything and bringing disorder to the house.
The leaders at that time, as well as those of us that followed them, were patriotic. They went into politics to serve, but not to be served.
It is people doing things wrong and not being sanctioned that led to this escalation.
What is going on now? We are beginning to lift up the quality of leadership.
We must not succumb to hopelessness and defeatism. We can fix our problems.
The production, distribution, and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as the internally displaced people's camps. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Thanks for staying with us. The 2016 Petroleum Technology Development Fund Overseas Scholarship Test has been held. Isaac Nkrumah in this background report tells us about the scholarship scheme and the criteria in selecting the beneficiaries.
The Petroleum Technology Development Fund, PTDF, was established in 1973 with a mandate to produce well-trained Nigerians that would take over the roles played by expatriates in the oil and gas industry. This was a response to the failure of international oil companies to transfer knowledge, skills and technology to Nigerians after years of oil and gas exploration in Nigeria. Over the years, the PTDF has continued to develop the capacity of Nigerians to effectively operate and manage the oil and gas sector through its scholarship schemes known as Overseas Scholarship Scheme, OSS, and the Local Scholarship Scheme, LSS.
PTDF has sponsored about 3,000 Nigerians under the MSc program, and we have sponsored about 1,000 Nigerians under the PhD program. And we have sponsored about 600 undergraduates under the local scholarship scheme.
The instructions, as I said, is identified by PTDF. Then the students must have a minimum performance level. They should have a CGPA of at least 3.00 on a scale of 0 to 5. And whenever they get the scholarship, they must maintain that CGPA in order for the scholarship to continue. So in the beginning, any level 100 student going to level 200, in those areas, mainly in engineering and the sciences, who has CGPA of at least 3.00 is qualified to apply for the scholarship scheme.
With about 30 universities in the United Kingdom under its Overseas Scholarship Scheme and 23 tertiary institutions in Nigeria comprising federal and state universities as beneficiaries of the local scholarship scheme, the PTDF offers full scholarship to undergraduates and graduates in engineering and other oil and gas-related fields in degrees, masters and PhD categories. The nationwide aptitude test for selection of candidates for the award of 2016-2017 PTDF Overseas Scholarship Scheme for master's degree held today with over 10,000 candidates applying. PTDF's Head of Education and Training, Rabia Waziri Adamu, speaks on the coordination of the test.
They had earlier been sent invitation letters via email and via SMS, and they have all been allocated seat numbers. So as soon as they come, we verify, confirm their seat numbers, and then they go in and write the exam.
She also spoke about the transparency of the scheme's selection process, marking, and what happens after the exams.
We do not leave the selection process for the undergraduates entirely to the consultant. We are, supervising the consultant all the way to make sure that everybody is given a fair chance. And the marking of the scripts is electronic, so we don't even involve humans in marking of the script.
Some of the candidates also spoke to NTA.
I think it is transparent because I saw the advert online and I bought the scratch card and applied. And then there was a time, I think earlier this year, that I was asked to come and update my text location or something, which I did. And then I didn't contact anybody and I just got invites this week.
This is my first time. I've not written before. So it's not a bad experience. It's good.
A candidate has 3 chances to apply for the PTDF Overseas Scholarship Scheme. In Abuja, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
900 Nigerian youths sat for the Petroleum Technology Development Fund Overseas Scholarship Scheme Aptitude Test held in Lagos. Jane Ojukwu monitored the screening and the conduct of the test and now reports.
These are candidates whose names were shortlisted for the examination. They were being screened to ensure their eligibility, which requires Nigerian citizenship of not more than 32 years of age. They must also possess at least second-class lower degree to sit for the examination. The examination provides candidates the opportunity to study abroad for a master's degree under PTDF scholarship scheme.
PTDF is an agency of the federal government, and it's had a mandate to train Nigerians in oil and gas. The federal government's policy in trying to achieve at least a certain percentage of local content participation in Nigerian oil and gas, that PTDF was mandated to participate or to be part of the program.
The computer-based examination held simultaneously in Abuja and Port Harcourt has since 2002 been producing Nigerian youth for training in science and technology to enable them contribute to the local content participation in the nation's oil and gas sector.
The selection process is based on federal character, and will ensure that, and the PTDF will ensure that it reflects the federal character policy.
For candidates like Michael Achillehu, who is currently teaching and praying for a scholarship opportunity, this might just be a dream come true.
Doing a master in control system will help me know more about chemical engineering and go further with it.
The exam was very okay. It was well coordinated. You know, the invigilators were on ground to make sure that the whole process was seamless.
I believe that I'm going to do well.
The two-section aptitude test lasted for only 2 hours. Successful candidates will be notified in due course. In Lagos, Jane Ojuku, NTA News.
Now, the 2016-2017 PTDF local and overseas scholarship aptitude test took place also in Port Harcourt, with over 1,000 eligible candidates writing the test at the Port Harcourt Center. Kingsley Amajiri was at the Rivers State University of Science and Technology ICT Center, venue of the exercise, and now reports.
With Port Harcourt as one of the aptitude test centers, over 1,000 candidates across different states wrote the examination at this center out of the 3,600 shortlisted candidates nationwide. It is a computer-based aptitude test with 2 sessions comprising of general knowledge and candidates' specific areas of study. Each candidate had 2 hours to answer the questions. Shortlisted candidates must be Nigerians, not more than 30 years of age, and majored in oil and gas-related courses. Mr. Kelechi Dumogu is the program coordinator.
At the end of the scholarship exercise, it's expected that the candidate must have been developed in his capacity and in his competency to work anywhere in the world as far as oil and gas industry is concerned.
Some candidates describe the selection process and the test as fair.
I want to see that the selection is a fair process, and I pray that the marking also should be as fair as the selection process.
It was fair because we submitted our documents, wrote the essays, and then got shortlisted, so it's favored. It was a good one.
The aptitude test is part of PTDF's objective of contributing towards the development of Nigeria's manpower needs in the oil and gas industry. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
All right, thank you, Kingsley. You are watching Weekend File. Our conversation segment is up next after these messages.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security with you. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Do most of your professors wear glasses? Make the grade and write with a Big Crystal. Big Crystal with remarkably visible ink. Big Crystal, it makes the grade.
What if your next phone could take photos like a pro? Like that one, even in low light. Busted.
We were just talking.
What if it gave you a memory to expand, to store all your pictures?
He has more followers than me.
And what if it worked in this weather? I did warn you. And what if it could do all that and still look this good? Not you, buddy. Sorry.
Welcome back. I'm now joined in the studio by Mr. Ahmed Aminu Galadima, the Acting Executive Secretary of the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, to discuss some of the issues that we've been raising and discussing in the course of the reports where we got from different parts of the country where the aptitude test was actually done. You are welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me in your studio.
Let me begin by asking you to tell us the basis for initiating PTDF overseas scholarships, and was it actually intended to be a short-term or a long-term training process?
The PTDF overseas scholarship scheme was actually instituted as a short-term measure to drive the long-term human capacity requirements of the Nigerian oil and gas industry by identifying or filling identified gaps in the Nigerian oil and gas industry in line with the local content policy of the federal government.
Okay. Now, what are the core disciplines for sponsorship, and how do you determine the areas of sponsorship? And again, what are the processes involved in actually giving out the award to individuals?
Going by our mandate, the mandate of the PTDF, we sponsor students in core oil and gas related areas such as engineering, geology, geosciences, environment, as well as some in renewables. And how we go about determining the areas that we sponsor, periodically we carry industry-wide skills gap audit to find out the available oil and gas projects, as well as the human resource requirements. We also engage our key stakeholders to identify areas of skills shortages, and we now took a look at these areas and put in our sponsorships. So every year we add or subtract the areas we sponsor based on the industry needs.
Okay, now how has the overseas scholarship achieved its objective? Are your scholars actually engaged? Are they returning to Nigeria to take up positions in the various units of the oil sector?
I think I would say to an extent we have been able to achieve while we are training Nigerians. We have a number of our ex-beneficiaries engaged in the RSCs. We have a number of them working as consultants on their own, as entrepreneurs. We also have a number of them in the academia involved in teaching and undertaking research. So I would say to an extent we have been able to achieve our mandate. But we also have a long way to go. That's why we are engaging with our sister agency, the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, to ensure that the skills that we trained or we produce over time are fully utilized by the oil and gas industry.
Well, as we have learned in this program, part of the reasons for initiating PTDF is is because of the failure of our foreign partners, in teaching our own Nigerians to learn the mechanisms, the operational methods in the oil and gas sector as it concerns different units, of operations. And now you have trained a number of Nigerians, in different aspects of oil-related areas. Now, have they been able to take up some sensitive positions in the oil industry as of today? That's what I mean here is that what is the possibility of these young men and women you are training, what's the possibility of them taking over the oil sector in all ramifications? Is it a possibility?
It's true, there's a strong possibility. That's why we are working closely with our stakeholders, especially those that are supposed to enforce the utilization of the skills that we have developed over time to make sure that Nigerians that are trained and qualified are absorbed into the oil and gas industry to their role. So I'm optimistic that, yes, from the skills we have trained over time, with strong enforcement of it, strong collaboration with our stakeholders or our sister agencies, they will be utilized in the Nigerian oil and gas industry.
Now, are you thinking of domesticating the overseas scholarship schemes in view of the number of oil and gas related departments and other institutional development projects, in the country? Is it a possibility to domesticate this training? Because of course, you know what it takes to pay overseas for overseas training, the foreign exchange and all that. Can you domesticate that and give them a quality training in Nigeria?
Yes, I think the future of the PTDF training lies in the domestication. That is why there's a strong synergy in the projects and programs we undertake as a fund. Our upgrade projects, university upgrade projects, the endowment programs that we have, and other institutional development projects that we undertake in the fund are all deliberate efforts towards domesticating the trainings in the long run. So we have a number of other programs and projects that are done towards domesticating the programs in country.
Now, what innovations are being infused into the process of this selection?
In the past, when we started the scholarship scheme early on, we used to have manual application forms which we distribute to the state capitals. We also conduct manual exams and we conduct manual marking. But all this, we have now transited from manual to online applications. We apply online, we shortlist online, we screen online and shortlist you, and then we also invite you to come and do an electronic exams, after which we get the results within 24 hours. So we have been able to progress from manual to electronic, and that has been a very, I will say, I think an excellent achievement.
Okay, now what challenges do you face in the entire process?
I think the challenge has to do with funding, because resources are limited, and we have been having some funding challenges. But I think with us closely working with our partners and stakeholders, we're able to come closer to achieving or trying to see how we...
Is the funding issue limiting the number of students you take in a particular batch?
Certainly. That's why we are now building on in-country trainings, which is cheaper than training overseas.
Now, coming back to the aptitude exams, which took place earlier today in 3 major centers across the country, yeah. Would you tell our viewers, the real criteria for this selection? Who really qualifies after this exam? What are you expecting from anybody who is going to be selected, for the 2016-2017 edition of the scheme?
What has happened today is the most critical activity in terms of the selection. So after today, we will now select the best based on merit, from reflecting the filial character principle. We also select, try to select gender, to have some female balancing, and we also look at oil and gas related areas.
If I may take you back to the issue of funding, are you making any effort, towards expanding your horizon, in terms of sources of funds for this scheme? Because it's a very important scheme.
Yeah, I think going forward from this year, what we are trying to look at is trying to fund through partnering. What I mean by that is, in the past, or currently we give full sponsorships, but we have been working with some countries, like we are working with the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil. We also work with the German academic exchange, as well as some universities in France, where by the students we send to these countries, we don't pay tuition fees. We only pay living expenses as well as maybe the cost of ticketing or cost of travel. So I believe in that way we will sustain the program as well as try to maintain the standards we have built over time.
Now, what are the obligations of the students? In terms of some may abscond after gaining the knowledge and skills. Have you had the experience of some of the scholars not returning to Nigeria after the completion of their educational training?
Well, we try to encourage them to come back to the country.
Have you experienced those who failed to come back?
Well, we have a number of them that is, but not that I can say that they refuse to. But most of them are willing to come back if there's jobs for them. But like what I would say is the oil and gas industry is a global industry. Wherever they find themselves, if they want to be employed anywhere, we believe that they'll contribute their quota to Nigeria.
I asked you this question because the primary objective for embarking on this kind of training is to, for human capital development in Nigeria. It's like trying to indigenize,
that's right,
technology in Nigeria, or localize technology in Nigeria with respect to oil and gas sector. Yeah. Now, if you train someone and give him or her the skills and knowledge in the area, and he doesn't return to Nigeria to impact on Nigerians, then the entire effort would have been in vain. So, what happens to anybody who refuses to return after the scholarship program?
No, like I said, we train for the oil and gas industry, and the industry is a global industry. And if you happen to work in ExxonMobil or Chevron, we believe that there's cross-posting. If we post it in Nigeria, we'll post it everywhere. And we believe at the end of the day, you'll come back to the country. But again, some of the programs we run or we sponsor, like the PhDs, we try to bond them. After the completion of the program, they have to come back to the country and contribute to the quota within the country. And the bonding is working? Yes.
All right. Now, talk to the other Nigerians who were not privileged to be part of today's examination. What are you expecting for the 2017-2018, as the case may be? Talk to Nigeria, because some believe that it may not be a possibility to just fill in the forms online and come and take your examinations, but some have testified that it's that easy. But some may still be in doubt. So let's talk about the integrity of the whole process.
What I will say, everything is electronic now. Whoever is interested in accessing the scholarship scheme should wait when we advertise in September, October. Let them apply. Once they meet the criteria, I assure them they'll be shortlisted and invited to come for the FT test. And after the FT test, if you are passed, you are sure to get the PTDF scholarship scheme. It's open, transparent, and is known all over the world.
Are you satisfied with today's exercise?
Very well.
All right. And at that point, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Ahmed Aminu Galadima, for being part of We Can File. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Mr. Aminu Galadima is the Acting Executive Secretary of the Petroleum Technology Development Fund. He's been talking to us on the scholarship schemes of that establishment. You're still watching We Can File, and up ahead is the happenings in the world of sports and, of course, the weather reports.
All made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria. Made in Nigeria.
Made in Nigeria.
Tonight, made in Nigeria. Quality is guaranteed.
Nice, made in Nigerian good.
Made in Nigeria is where we are going now.
We're going to come to Made in Nigeria TV Expo and exhibition in April 2016, where go shell for the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Features include grand opening ceremony, live concert, and showcasing of many Obonge quality products from our expert manufacturers and states. 5 days of TV Expo and exhibition for Made in Nigeria products and services. For further inquiries, we're going to contact our contact platforms or visit any NTA station near you. Think international, because our products are going international.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high. Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
The Nigerian Navy says it will continue to ensure that its officers and ratings engage in activities that will keep them physically and mentally fit. The group's managing director of Navy Holdings, Rear Admiral James Oluwole, said this during the service quarterly route march in Abuja. Defense correspondent KG Busari Ahmed reports.
That is the spirit, as officers and ratings of the Nigerian Navy endured the 15 kilometers quarterly route march and physical exercise, taking off from the Mogadishu cantonment to the Niger barracks and back to the takeoff point in a show of strength and vigor. The leader of the team and group managing director of the Navy Holdings, Rear Admiral James Oluwole, said though the Navy personnel engage in a weekly exercise, the quarterly one is all-encompassing.
It helps because you must be physically fit, and not only physically, you must be mentally fit too. And when you are healthy, it's like a sound mind in a sound body. This keeps us fit.
For the officers and ratings of the Nigerian Navy, exercise of this magnitude is on a quarterly basis for them to be operational fit. From the Mogadishu cantonment, Abuja, KG Busari Ahmed, NTA News.
Top Nigerian table tennis players begin qualification for upcoming Nigeria Open Championship in May. Reactions trail NFF's decision to hire a foreign coach for the Super Eagles as leagues take center stage across Europe after FIFA's international break. Details in our sports update with Henry Efium.
The qualifying tournament for Nigerian players ahead of the 2016 Nigerian Open Table Tennis Championship served off Saturday at the knock-up hall of the National Stadium, Lagos. Nigeria was allocated 12 slots for the international tournament with automatic qualification for the top 4 Nigerian players based on their international rankings, while the remaining 8 slots are up for grabs.
Over the years, we've had, a few murmurings about people not being selected. So this gives you a chance, to get your position as of right. And then, there's still going to be other chances through the discretionary method. But already, we have the big guns already in the draw. This year, we're hopeful that we'll have more countries, tougher players, more top 100 players.
The 2-day qualifiers is featuring 86 men and 43 women from various parts of the country. Reactions have trailed the recent announcement by the Nigerian Football Federation over its plans to secure a foreign coach for the Super Eagles in the coming weeks. Analysts believe the NFF can still get capable hands to handle the senior national team if they continue to look inwards.
It's about players in the first place. The foreign coaches are not going to build the players. We need the coaches in the country to build good players. The NFF is just reacting. We've, for the past 10 years or so, been trying to place confidence on our indigenous coaches, and I think that they have done fairly well.
If we have to develop, we must develop from within. Nobody in this world can tell me that we do not have good coaches in Nigeria. All they need is support, they need respect, they need trust, they need encouragement, and all the support that anybody needs to perform.
The Super Eagles earlier in the week failed to qualify for the second consecutive African Cup of Nations finals after conceding their group's top spot to Egypt. Leagues resumed across Europe after the international break as Bayern Munich pipped Eintracht Frankfurt 1-0 in a live game of the German Bundesliga. Mainz beat
Good to have you join us on today's weather forecast. The moisture buildup over many parts of the country is expected to be sustained, as we can see from the weather chart. Southwesterlies far into the northern cities, and this is expected to build up moisture activities around the central and the southern cities. And onto the forecast, we anticipate cloudy morning from the coast up to the central cities, with prospect of improved visibility around the extreme part of the country, giving rise to hazy and sunny conditions. Although a few cases of localized visibility of about 2,000 meters are likely around Kano, Guzo, and their environ. And in the afternoon, we anticipate a better buildup of weather activities to give rise to thunderstorms within the southern cities, with the exception of Lagos that have prospect of cloudy and partly cloudy conditions within the afternoon hours. High grounds of the central cities will witness some isolated thunderstorms as well. The weather conditions over the extreme part of the country is expected to remain the same. And for the temperature forecast, we anticipate 34, 35 within the southern cities, with the central cities going to witness around 35, 37 degrees Celsius. Over the extreme part of the country, we expect 39 to 40 degrees Celsius. For details, stay tuned.
And that's our show tonight. Join us again next week when we return with a fresh package. From all of us, says good night.